Hi, I'm Mack, and I'm on a mission to see the hurting get healed and the healed go out and heal others, in order for all of us to experience the true love and light we desire. This podcast is me sharing my journey with you, so you don't feel alone in your journey. Welcome to the Golden Rule Revolution. Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another episode of the Golden Rule Revolution. I am Mack. Thank you for joining. Guys, it has been such an intense time for every one of us all around the world as the Great Awakening unfolds. But the Great Reset narrative, it's not great actually, but those small minority evil people who want to wipe out humanity, who want to take the genetic coding of humankind and replicate and manipulate it to create their own creation, are doing everything they can in their power to coerce, manipulate, intimidate humanity into submission. And humanity is saying no more. We are rising. We are ascending. In fact, I get the chills. We are overthrowing the lies, the control forms. And yet there is going to be one last push and pull, and it is not a moment. It's a block of time. And so it is coming. It's going to get a little bit more dark. It's going to get a little bit more wild. At the same time, it gets a little more dark and a little bit more wild. Things are going to start popping off. The truth will not be suppressed forever. And when the veil gets lifted off all our eyes, even those who think they have eyes to see, we will all be humbled when the truth comes out. All of us, every single one of us. I just listened to this song by Sturgill Jennings. It's called, what is it called? It's called God, We Need You Now. God, We Need You Now by Sturgill Jennings. And Sturgill Jennings is the grandson of Waylon Jennings, one of my favorite singers of all time. And this song, I recommend every person finding it on YouTube. God, We Need You Now by Sturgill Jennings. And it talks about what is actually happening. Alanis Morissette came out today, said the music industry is ran by pedophiles. The world is beyond evil, behind the veil of the Matrix. And the Matrix is a facade. That's why we all feel comfortable and cozy. But the truth must come forth to drive away those who create the Matrix and create the evil on the other side of the Matrix, so that humanity, all of us, will once and for all be free. I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to maintain your genetic code. Maintain your genetic code. Can you imagine if someone said, so you know your retina and your fingerprint are uniquely you. So is your DNA. So is your genetic coding. Could you imagine if someone said, humanity's retinas are causing people to see the world poorly, so we need to replace your retina. We need to replace your retina with a new type of retina, a bio-retina, what is it called? An Android type retina, whatever it is, a computerized retina. Take it. Well, then you had just lost your unique identification and replaced it with some numeric identification that wasn't yours, but does belong to another entity, another force. You see, I'm going to reference the Bible here. King David, everyone, you hear the story of David and Goliath, but there were two times that David sinned, quote unquote, completely missed the mark to walk in the love of God in his kingship. The first time was with when he killed Bathsheba's husband, sent him to the front lines of battle so that he could marry Bathsheba. The second time is when he numbered all of Israel. It said that Satan tempted David to number all of Israel, and David ascribed a number to each and every person. He counted them all. He wanted to know how many people were under his authority. And God was very upset with David. And the reason is because when you ascribe a number to a human being, you have erased their humanity. We have a family friend who passed a few years back, but he was a survivor of the Holocaust. And he showed me the tattoo written on his arm, the number that he was right here. And he said, Lucas, when you reduce someone to mere numbers, you've erased their humanity. They're no longer memories and stories and personalities and impact. They're no longer the color eye they had and hair, and they're no longer the legacy. They're no longer a human being. They are a data point, binary, ones and zeros, and they cease to exist as human beings. That is what's happening again. Sadly, many have fallen for it. And for those who listen and have fallen, we still love you. I still love you. And you have to acknowledge the truth of what is happening right now. You see, Satan desired to be like the Most High. It says, how art thou fallen from Lucifer, O son of the morning? In Isaiah 14:12. The King James Bible is the only Bible that has the word Lucifer in it, by the way. Every other Bible version says the morning star fell. But the morning star, Jesus says in Revelation chapter 22, I am the root and offspring of David, the bright and morning star. So interestingly enough, every Bible from 1881 onwards says instead of Lucifer falling, the morning star fell, which is Jesus. So these Bibles are actually saying Jesus fell, which is inaccurate. And we know from the 1880s onward, the progressive era started, and we are finding ourselves in this mess today. However, that's not the point of why I brought that up. It says, God's talking to Satan and said, you desire to be like the Most High. He desired to be like the Most High. But the one thing Satan cannot do is create. He is not a creator. He is a created entity. So he will take creation made by the creator and manipulate it, which is why in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, God tells the serpent, I will put enmity between thy seed and her seed, which is where you get Cain and Abel. Cannibal, Canaanite. The Canaanites were always the enemy of the Israelites, the people of promise. Cain ate Abel, cannibal. When you start to look at the truth of what's going on, why Lil Nas X would put human blood in his shoes, why the world worships this bloodlust, you will see why God was so angry with Cain back in Genesis. Read Genesis chapter 4. Interestingly enough, who did Hillary Clinton pick as a running mate for the 2016 presidential run? Timothy Cain. Who does Q refer to as no name? John McCain. The house of Cain, my dear brothers and sisters, is the house ruling the world. And that's where you get the bloodline families, the reptilian families, tracing their bloodlines back to the serpent and Eve. All of this is spoken of in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. And I will put enmity between thy seed and her seed. But you see, we of the human race are of the Adamic line. You see, once Cain killed Abel, God replaced Abel with Seth. And it says, when Seth was born, that men began to call upon the name of the Lord again, because there was hope that God didn't leave us forbidden and forsaken with this evil. God brought hope. And from Seth, we get Noah. And from Seth, we get Abraham. And from Seth, we get David. And from Seth, we get Jesus. Seth's line has always been the line of hope and promise. We are all of Seth's line. We are the Adamic race. Sadly, though, many are opting out of being found worthy of being called son of Adam because they're going to be called a son of the patent number that they've been given. And to that I say, we love you. To those who have yet done it, don't do it. Unless you want to do it, then do it. Choose you this day whom you will serve, Joshua said. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Lord being love supreme. I will serve love supreme. And in love, there is no fear. Perfect love casts out all fear. Therefore, if you serve perfect love, you will not be afraid of anything. Not the arrow that flieth by day, not the terror at night, nothing. Because you know the power that you serve, you know the authority that you have walking in love. It is full and complete. And the imitation power structures, these government power structures, these governed men think they are so smart, so crafty, and so intelligent. But all they are is chaff. They are not planted to the source of this life. They're not rooted in the rivers of water. They are like chaff, which the wind bloweth away. And when Trump said that there is a storm coming, it is a storm that truly will blow all the chaff away. So then you, my dear brother and sister, have to reconcile. This has nothing even to do with what I'm saying. This has nothing to do with what anyone says. This is you and you alone have to reconcile. Am I in love? Do I truly love love? Do I truly love life? Do I love life more than I fear death? Why do I fear death? Who told me to fear death? You see, this is an internal job between you and you. And no one can save you. You're either found in the branch, attached to the branch, grafted into the vine, as the Bible says, the tree of life. You're either in the tree of life or you're not. And only you can make that decision. No one else can. That's why religion is a fallacy. You can't preach someone into the tree of life. That is only a job done within. Jesus said, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. What's the fruit he's talking about? He also said you can tell a tree by the fruit it bears, whether that fruit be good or whether that fruit be evil. Evil being an inversion of live, E-V-I-L, L-I-V-E. I've said that many times on the podcast, but the fruit that he talks about in Galatians chapter 6, I believe, that love, joy, peace, long suffering, goodness, gentleness, faith, temperance, meekness. Against such there is no law. There's nothing to indict you on. The New Bible versions from 1881 onward put the word kindness in the fruit of the Spirit. Well, isn't that a nice sounding word, kindness? But all of a sudden that impeded and stripped away people's openness to truth, because if the truth wasn't kind, then they said it wasn't of God. But the original text never had the word kind in there, because sometimes the truth isn't kind. Sometimes the truth is harsh and raw and vulnerable and ugly and dirty. To talk about the amount of children raped and molested in this planet is so vile. It is so vile. That's truth. Is it kind to talk about? No, it's fucking disgusting. But it's the only way we can be free. But you see, from 1881 onward, the progressive era, the wise rhetoric that stemmed from the progressive era. In 1881, in 1871, just 10 years prior, the United States took the central bank money from Europe And a lot of things quickly changed on this planet from 1871, which is only 6 years after the Civil War, to 1881, the revised version of the Bible. People that were on the translation board that didn't even believe in a God were atheists and were paid by the Vatican to manipulate, twist, and control the minds of mankind. And once the truth is suppressed, humanity loses its freedom. It's not the government grants freedom. That is an impossibility. God made you free. But when you don't love freedom and life and love and truth and goodness and beauty more than everything else, you will not be free. Becomes a slave. And a slave doesn't have a will to give. If you're a slave, you can't say, I willingly serve another. No, you can't. You have to be slave to the master that you've chosen to serve or made to serve, better yet said. So we are at this time right now of great awakening, great awakening. And it will happen quickly, even though it feels like it's happening slowly. Why? It feels like it's happening slowly because it's being done with love. It's going to happen quickly because people that have not been awake to the truth are going to absolutely get wrecked when the truth comes out. And yet, even those of us who know what's happening and are watching these events and seeing the signs everywhere will still have our hearts humbled to the greatest degree, because it is going to be so utterly heart-wrenching when we learn the truth of what's been actually happening on, in, and off this planet. And yet, goodness has never been snuffed out. Truth has never been snuffed out. Light has never been snuffed out. It might have dimmed, might have diminished, but never gone. God has always kept a remnant, and that remnant is awakening those who are ready with eyes to see and ears to hear to the truth and the trumpet that God is calling everyone out. We just had Rosh Hashanah, and you hear the trumpet. You hear the sound. It's a sound that resonates within your body. You can't hide it from it. It's quickening to your very core. It's meant to be. I recommend everyone have some supplies. Why? Is that from fear? No, it's in wisdom. Because those that are not prepared will panic, and you do not want to be caught in panic. If the supply chain, for whatever reason, gets disrupted, if people go on strike because of these ungodly mandates, whatever it is, don't be reliant on the system of the matrix to sustain the life that you have and those that you love. So have supplies. Don't enter the fray of the chaos. Mahatma Gandhi overthrew the British Empire, the Indian Revolution, peacefully, non-compliant, peaceful protests in love, and it overthrew the British Empire. We are to do the same. That is the model, incredible model. So don't get caught into the fray. Have supplies. Think it through. Water, food, heat, light. And don't worry, because God wins. God won. God allows this all to be to reveal that who is and who is not in alignment to God himself. God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. So those that are the light, when Jesus said, you're the light of the world, he's saying, let's see who's the light, not the false light, because Satan can transfigure into an angel of light to deceive and manipulate and coerce, but that's not real light. So everything that is true is getting revealed. So have some supplies. And I want you to know everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. I have some incredible guests coming up. I have Justin Anders from Cannabis and Combat. I've had him on before. I'm having him back for a second episode. I'm also having David Nino Rodriguez, my brother, coming back on for another episode. Really excited about that. And I also have Greg Anderson, the law enforcement police officer, former federal marshal and special forces operator, who's just an incredible man. He was on my brother's podcast, and I'm going to have him on my podcast. We're going to talk about what it actually means to stand for freedom and have convictions. All three of these men are beautiful souls, and I'm excited to have them on. So they're coming on this week. My message is, dear brothers and sisters, to eradicate fear out of your hearts. The amount of pedophilia is beyond your wildest imagination. It is so horrible. It is so horrid. If you have been affected in any way, shape, or form, please go watch my TED Talk. Please, please. It is about healing. It is about healing. It's about healing. Not coping, healing. Not forgetting, healing. Not avoiding, healing. And this is not to indict the perpetrator, because the perpetrator was once themselves a victim to a perpetrator. And it's up to us light workers to say the cycle of pain ends with me. So do the inner work, brothers and sisters. I cannot stress it enough. I know I've not been podcasting as much. I've just been dealing with a lot of stuff myself. A lot going on, obviously. But I'm staying sovereign. I'm holding the line and shining bright love for all of us to see. This is the love of God. You know, I have still these remnants of Christians, because I get trolled by Christians. Oh my gosh. Oh, it makes me laugh. Also, I still have that lingering. I'm doing a lot of work to let go of that, but I still have some lingering. And I understand the form that they have been brought up in so well. And those forms are crumbling. And when they are afraid, when everyone will be afraid, because all these systems are being destroyed right now, hold space. Be the invitation for others to do the inner work. This isn't a time, we're not entering a time of I told you so. Those people that you feel like, I can't wait to say I told you so. It's not of love. It's not of love. Because if you were in their shoes, you would be no different than them. You graciously are in your shoes to hold space for them. So this is not a I told you so time that we're entering. This is a, what can I do to support you? What can I do to love you? What can I do to be there for you? What questions do you have? When Q said, you are the news now, it's true. Because the mainstream media and the entire internet, based on all these established Canaanite companies, are doing everything they can to suppress the truth. Everything they can. That's why David wrote in Psalm 119, thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against thee. Sin meaning to miss the mark, not to do something bad. You sinner. No, that I didn't walk in love. I missed the mark. So sin means to miss the mark. Thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against you, that I might not walk out of love. That's what this is about, to stay in love. So if you need to read whatever books, read the Bible, the King James Bible. Read it, commit it to memory, place it upon your heart, open it up and just put it on your heart and ask God to burn. I asked so many times, God, burn these words inside my heart, sear them inside my heart, that it is so infused with my very DNA that it becomes who I am. I've had some very intense prayers. You can do the very same thing. But my point is, the Canaanite owned media and internet companies are doing everything they can to suppress the truth. So the truth, we are the news because we have the truth. We've saved, we've collected, we've distributed, we have the information. When things get wild, and they will, you can hold space for others. Be like, what questions do you have? What can I do to support you? To all of you around the world, my audience in Australia, God bless you. I'm sending you so much love right now. So much love. Just receive the love of God. Receive the love of God. Receive the love of God. To my Canadian audience, I bless you. God bless you. Receive the love of God. Receive the love of God. To every person listening, wherever you are around the world, receive the love of God. Where love is present, truth will come forth. And the result is that we are made free. And freedom. William Wallace yelling before his head is taken off, freedom is everything. Freedom. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom. There's liberty. And there's justice for all. And justice is coming. So if you've been wronged, if you've been wounded, if you've been abused physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, sexually, verbally, don't look at the perpetrator in blame. Look at the pain that is present within. Acknowledge it. Cry it out. Scream it out. Be angry about it. It wasn't right. But heal that pain. So you can be free from the line of that pain. And you can help other people do the same. This is the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is not just about knowing truth. The Great Awakening is about knowing the love of God. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, I love you all so much. I hope this message blesses you wherever you are around the earth, wherever you are, whatever you're going through. I hope this blesses you. You are not alone. Even if it gets in your face, stay strong. Stay true to your calling. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? To gain everyone's in a crazy system's affirmation, but lose your own soul. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to the calling. Stay grafted into the vine, and you will bring forth much fruit, my dear brothers and sisters. Thank you for listening. I'm Lucas Mack. I bless you all. I love you all. And get ready for some really cool episodes. I will talk to you on the next episode. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. For support in your journey, go to my website, lucasmack.com.